The college football experience, Nebraska Cornhuskers 2023 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our very own Patreon. Score exclusive perks and content, available only to our patrons at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Once again, that is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey folks, this is Bud Foster. You're listening to SGPN. Let's let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience, Nebraska Cornhuskers 2023 season preview episode. It is a dawn of a new day in Lincoln, Nebraska, with Matt Rhule, the new head coach. So we're going to talk all about it. We're going to break down the schedule, go game by game, talking Cornhusker ball, talking Big Red, and we're going to talk the offense, defense, what they did in the special teams, the coaching hires in general. We're going to deep dive into all of that, but perhaps you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dad, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Here we are talking about a proud program, great fan base. I was wrong. I'll be the first to say it. I thought Scott Frost was gonna be the guy to correct things.
Well, we all did. We all thought that was the home run hire, and look, he got close, but his team didn't have the it factor when it counted. How many close games can you lose?
It's true.
At a certain point, it's an attitude
thing.
He
wasn't going option. I still think that's the real reason.
Yeah, maybe he wanted to get a little too fancy, to seem a little more. And let's just dive right into that. The good folks in Nebraska got away from the option.
And now the rules have changed, but if they were still dominating, I thought when they fired Frank Solich, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you could argue maybe Bo Pelini as well.
You can not argue that's a fact. Yes. It was ridiculous to fire Bo Pelini. What? Because he cursed. Kansas and Nebraska, are those
they do touch,
it is not okay to curse in the Great Plains, apparently.
Well, this fucking podcast is done.
Hello.
Right? Look, I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going, buddy. All right, Dean Steincooler, Fumble Rooski.
Boom.
All right.
One of the most beautiful plays ever.
It's beautiful.
What do you have?
Mike Rozier was on that team. Irving Fryer. And I respect Osborne for going for two.
You got to love that. Jeff Smith, that great fourth down touchdown.
Smith, the running back, played for the Bucs later. Yeah. You got, dude, this, I grew up a Colorado fan, which I know they're probably turning me off right now, but I'm saying, like, I appreciate Nebraska. Yeah. Right. I want them to be good again, but I don't want them to be like Mike Riley or Callahan Auto Parts good with passing the ball around.
Yeah.
I want the power rush and attack back. All right.
Yeah. The physical, I guess they had it to an extent under Pelini, I would say largely. They were tough.
Yeah.
But it's not, since Osborne left, they haven't been mauling teams like they used to.
Since Solich left.
Since Solich, yeah.
That's true. Because they were doing a little bit there,
still
but
doing that then.
But
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Patty C, Matt Rhule is the new coach in Lincoln. Didn't work out with him in the Carolina Panthers, but they kept saying he was an NFL guy. I never really understood that one. This is a guy that played linebacker under Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky,
Oh.
and he coached at
Hopefully didn't pick up everything.
Hopefully didn't go to those Pella fights in the basement of Sandusky's house. It's not funny, but look,
we're going to hell.
yeah.
Okay.
At Temple, he was 2-10 year one, jumped out to 6-6 year two, 10-4 year three, 10-3 year four, and then he bounces out to Baylor before the bowl game. 1-11 at Baylor, then 7-6 and 11-3. So it seems like they got the guy to really do this based on that. Now,
turning programs around seems to be his specialty.
It does suck that, to me, like if you're a Nebraska fan, you're saying, okay, yes, we can win the Big Ten West very soon, but no, the Big Ten West is going away after this year.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to get Michigan, Ohio State, and USC and UCLA a little more often, but
yeah, that's true.
The NIL collective is strong. Nebraska's fans are fucking fantastic. All right. And I'm a Colorado guy saying this. All right. They're great for college football. Nebraska, I want them really good again.
Yeah.
And I want them playing Colorado every Black Friday. I don't care what anyone says.
And we want them at least in the 9-10 win range. You know, this Nebraska without being in the conversation is a bummer.
Yeah. And no, I just want them, but I want them power running. I know Matt Rhule's hinted at this. The fullbacks coming back.
Oh yeah.
Dean, Joel Makovica.
Oh, man. One of the greatest.
There was just Tom Rathman was a Nebraska fullback.
Probably the quintessential fullback of all time.
Corey Schlesinger. Remember? They just got guys. I want that back. Yeah. Come on, let's go.
He's a huge fan of fullbacks. He's a huge fan of H-backs and tight ends.
But what would you think that's the right? Is it? I thought Frost was the right man for the job, but now I didn't think Mike Riley was. I didn't think Callahan Auto Parts. I don't even know that I thought Pelini was.
Well,
but
look, Frost, there's nothing about his identity as a X's and O's coach that suggested that he was a fit for what we hope to see at Nebraska, which is physicality. He had coached every position on the field. He'd been all over the place. He did a great job as a head coach.
A lot of great coaches.
Yeah. So we just thought, you're the golden boy of Nebraska past. You're coming back.
Shoe fits. Yeah.
Yeah. But the identity, it never happened. The physicality never happened. So Matt Rhule, even though he doesn't have that golden boy persona.
And remember, one of those years, that was my lock, was like Nebraska's going to win over 6.5 games. And dude, that was the 3-9 year where they lost 9 games by 1 score or less. It's almost impossible to do. But
a more physical team. I mean, that's kind of his blueprint.
They were the worst special teams under Scott Frost. I cannot remember watching a team with a worst special teams in all my life. And that's a lot of football hours. You know what I mean? That's a lot of football hours.
Tell you what, for the 1 year that he's in the Big Ten West, he will fit well among the coaches in the Big Ten West because punting is a humongous
Kirk
priority.
Ferentz swears by it. Brett Bielema swears by
That's
it.
right.
Fickle comes in, and I don't know. It's a wild card with him going air raid offense in Madison, but
he's going away from his
and
nature.
Fitz is gone, so that doesn't matter anymore. So you think it's a decent hire?
I think it's a great hire.
Yeah,
I think it's a fantastic hire. I think what you mentioned before, his track record. Would you say he in his previous 2 stops, 2-10, 6-6, 10-4. Okay, so you go terrible, average, and good.
But it seems like one where you don't just hop in there and turnkey program. But this is a new day and age with the transfer portal.
They're talented.
Yeah, you can bring in, and they lost a lot of close games, as you alluded to.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. We're going to break down the offense, defense, special teams, transfer portal. Go game by game on the schedule and project how Nebraska will do in 2023. But before I do all that, I want to tell you folks out there that the Nebraska Cornhuskers 2023 season preview episode is brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. Yes, do your part in the war against corporate gambling. All right. And support us. All right. Sign up for the SGPN or SGP Patreon. There's a ton of exclusive content, contests, and merch just for our patrons. Look, plus a monthly SGP Stories podcast. Whew. I mean, we've been good friends. We were good friends with dearly departed Mike Leach. We got some stories with Coach Leach. May he rest easy. That's just some. We'll tell you just stories in general.
Oh, yeah.
And it will be ad-free, uncensored show.
Well, the college experience is all about some stories.
Highlighting the best stories from decades of B and D gens. There's even going to be a Discord channel just for the patrons. So Sports Gambling Podcast, Patreon is a great way to score exclusive perks and support us at the same time. So sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Once again, that is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. All right. We are back on the college football experience, Nebraska Cornhuskers 2023 season preview episode. Let's talk a little bit about that portal. Dude, we were doing this 5-6 years ago. It was very easy. It was like, oh, there's one player. Now this thing's looking like the 405 freeway out here in LA. Departing running back AJ Allen. He's now at the Miami Hurricanes.
Second leading rusher. Ouch.
Departing is safety Jaleel Martin, who's a Syracuse Orangeman with Rocky Long. Departing is another safety, Noah Pola Gates, who's now with Rocky Long's old stop, the New Mexico Lobos, and Danny Gonzalez. Departing is quarterback Casey Thompson to Florida Atlantic. I thought it was a good get for Florida Atlantic, personally.
Obviously.
Departing is defensive lineman Stephon Wynn going to Ole Miss. I think he was a starter a year ago.
Stephon Wynn.
Yeah. Cornerback Braxton Clark in the portal. Was Wynn
was good for 22 tackles. Braxton Clark. Let me see where he.
I'm not sure he got a lot of burn.
Not a ton of burn.
Yeah.
Not a ton.
Logan Smothers, quarterback. He's in the portal. So he's gone.
He's a third stringer.
Sean Hardy at the wide receiver spot, gone. Still in the portal. Wide receiver Victor Jones, though, is with the Liberty Flames, with the Flamin' Libs in Virginia. Quarterback Richard Torres in the portal. Wide receiver Evan Meyersick in the portal. Tight end James Carney is in the portal.
Not dudes that we're getting a ton of burn.
Wide receiver Alante Brown heading to Michigan State.
In the conference. No, that's a little bit of a loss. 16 catches, 191 yards.
Offensive lineman Kevin Williams to Biff Poggi in the Charlotte 49ers. Kicker Charlie Weinrich to the Kansas Jayhawks and Lance Leipold. Running back Jaquez Yant to Florida A&M.
Let's see. Quez Yant doesn't look like he
got a lot of burn.
Yeah, 56 rushing yards.
Masai Newsom is in the portal at the defensive line spot. Defensive lineman Marquise Black goes to Western Kentucky. That's another loss there. Defensive lineman Jalen Weaver is in the portal as well.
Losing a lot of guys in the trenches.
Cornerback Jaden Gould is off to Syracuse. This was a 4-star transfer get for the Q. So I'm assuming this guy got a lot of burn. Gould.
Not seeing him coming up on the stat log here. So that one's not too bad.
Kamonte Grimes, wide receiver to Northern Iowa.
Nope, no burn.
Wide receiver, and I think it's time for us to play this. Dakotas Crawford, who caught some NIL money. He is now off to Louisiana Tech. Oh man.
I'm so glad we called SOS. RAC is the coldest.
I'm always the coldest.
SOS to the rescue.
Hey, this is Dakota Crawford, wide receiver from Louisiana, now playing in Lincoln. When your AC isn't the coldest, you call SOS Heating and Cooling. Their techs don't make commissions, so they give you an honest opinion, fair pricing, and longer warranties than the competition, guaranteed. Take it from the coldest. We'll keep you cool this summer.
Great campaign.
Great campaign.
I don't know how you're going to find a new guy for air conditioning. We got to find this.
Didn't put up any stats last year.
Doesn't matter. He was a freshman. He was a freshman.
Yeah.
Linebacker Ernest Hausman. Look up this guy. He was a Haas 4-star transfer get for the Michigan Wolverines.
Oof. We get that. Hausman.
Yeah. Hausmann. He was a stud.
Yeah. 54 tackles.
Him and Gold. I think Gold. Like Gould. It must have been a substantial get. Offensive tackle Brant Banks is now at the Rice Owls and JT Daniels. Cornerback Tyreek Johnson is in the portal. Offensive lineman Michael Lynn is in the portal. Tyreek Johnson, they say, is a 4-star transfer portal. He's out there. That's who they lost. They were about to lose Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, but he was talked back.
You know, I mean, I think obviously Casey Thompson's a big loss, you know, but I feel like
let's see who they brought in.
Yeah,
because I'm telling you, I think they did a great job on what they brought in.
Anthony Grant really coming back at the running back position is
nice,
huge.
right? Yeah. Offensive tackle Tyler Knock is coming in from the Utah Utes, won the Pac-12 the past 2 years. Then you have the Georgia Bulldogs defensive end, 4-star transfer MJ Sherman. This is a huge get, absolutely huge get, because they need guys on the defensive line. MJ Sherman gonna have to be that guy. They also got offensive tackle Jacob Hood from the Georgia Bulldogs. Nice,
very nice.
Wide receiver Billy Kemp from the Virginia Cavaliers,
going east for a lot of that.
He was good. Billy Kemp
was very good.
Yeah,
I'm a Virginia guy over here. Look, this guy is kind of like a athletic slot. He's a tough receiver. He'll go over the middle. He's undersized, but he goes after the ball, and he's got some game breaking ability. That's a nice pickup.
Well, and then you got the mystery one. Some people have said he's the greatest recruit ever at the tight end position, Arik Gilbert.
Oh yeah,
who was at LSU. He was at Florida. He was at Georgia, and now he's at Nebraska. How many national championship teams is that?
Seriously.
This guy was the number 1 recruit in the nation at tight end. I mean, honestly, crazy 5-star transfer. If Matt Rhule can get this guy to deliver, you're looking at a
super
crazy talent.
Now, you want to talk about a guy who supposedly likes differing types of tight ends. This is the type of tight end that's your pass catcher. I'm assuming he doesn't seem like he's got the grit.
He's got to get this going. He's got to get this.
I mean, if
going.
you're considered the greatest tight end prospect ever, then you should probably have.
You're at LSU. You're at Florida.
Ability. Yeah.
You're at Georgia. What happened?
Yeah. Maybe he's finally found a landing spot. Billy Kemp, by the way, 2020, 67 receptions, 2021, 74 receptions. Last year, only 16. Not sure what happened there, but I can vouch for him. He's a baller.
Yeah. Cornerback Corey Collier comes in from the Florida Gators. Offensive tackle Ben Scott comes in from the Arizona State Sun Devils. They did a great job in the portal, I think. Linebacker Chief Borders, great name. Comes over from the Florida Gators.
That is a great name.
They're getting Florida guys. They're going after it. Texas A&M defensive lineman Elijah Judy comes in to Nebraska.
There you go.
Quarterback Jeff Sims. This is the big one.
There
big time. Another big time recruit. Another big time recruit comes over from Georgia Tech.
ACC
He's
country.
mobile.
Yep.
I think if Matt Rhule uses him correctly, he could be very good.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, we'll get to it, but Casey Thompson versus Jeff Sims, your comparison.
I mean, Casey's much better passer.
Yeah.
But Sims is a dual threat capability.
And Casey Thompson can run too.
Yeah, but Sims can really run. Yeah. Long snapper Marco Ortiz coming over from the Florida Gators as well. Wide receiver Josh Fleeks from the Baylor Bears comes into Lincoln. I mean, I think they did an unbelievable job in the portal, and it makes me think on first thought that Rhule is not going to have one of these 1 in 11 years like he traditionally does in year 1. But here's another thing: Sims has gotten dinged up the past couple of years. I feel like.
He's a little frail in his frame.
So losing Thompson might be a blow because you have that depth before. But I can tell you, I thought they definitely won the portal. How about you?
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, losing Thompson and gaining Sims seems to be the biggest, obviously, loss and get. But Billy Kemp is a nice pickup. Obviously, the superstar tight end has high end potential if it pans out. I don't think you can plan on that, but that's a nice wild card to have in your deck. And then, other than that, it doesn't seem like they lost a ton. So overall, I give it a slight win. Yeah, no, I think they do. I think they won the portal. They lost a couple guys, but I mean, I think they overall won the portal. Now the offense brings back 7, Patty C. And I don't know why these numbers, for most of these teams, when we rattle off the numbers, they mean something because they're returning everybody, but they're shifting to a brand new offense. But a year ago, they were 101st in scoring offense, 99th in rush offense, 81st in pass offense, charting at the 101st best offense in the nation. Not good. Well, they bring in a new OC, Marcus Satterfield from South Carolina. What's interesting here, though, is if you talk to South Carolina fans, they wanted him out. So interesting hire. Well, I mean, definitely an interesting hire. It sounds like he is, content doing the things the way that Matt Rhule did them, at his previous stops, which is a physical not dynamic offense, but a system designed to win close games, Big Ten West style.
Yeah.
So, winning close should be music to the ears of Nebraska fans at this point, as opposed to losing close.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, he brought in Ed Foley at special teams. Remember, he was the guy who was the interim head coach. Chris Farley vibes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That guy's that guy's amazing. And I'm very excited that he's back. And,
Wait, what role is Ed Foley?
Special teams coordinator.
Hell yeah. That's a great guy.
That guy's great.
Matt Foley, Ed Foley.
Yeah. He's been downstairs in the basement drinking coffee for the past 8 hours.
Marcus Satterfield, number 72 offense in the country last year at South Carolina. That's with Spencer Rattler at the helm. Yeah, maybe.
I know Carolina fans weren't excited about. They were surprised that he left because they're like, but we were about to maybe Canyon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, maybe that's silly because South Carolina had one of their best years last year in a long time.
2 games, but they did have some struggles early on.
I mean, look, beating Clemson close at the end of the year.
Fair.
Hopefully, that's a sign of what Nebraska has to look forward to.
Fair. But Matt Rhule, I'm sorry, not Matt Rhule. Ed Foley. If you don't know what we're talking about, YouTube Ed Foley Temple press conference when he was the interim head coach. Classic.
Yeah,
absolutely classic. All right, let's break down this offense because Jeff Sims is the quarterback, penciled in to be the starter. Got to worry. They still have Chuba Purdy somewhere on that bench somewhere.
That's a huge safety net.
Well, he's not even projected the second string quarterback though. He's projected third string. I see Heinrich Harburg projected second. But maybe a lot can change in August. But Sims, it's a big. If he can use Sims correctly, he could be really fucking good.
Sims, let's see, career stats. Only 1,100 passing yards in 2022. Only 1,400 the year before. 1,800 back in 2020, the COVID year. So he seems to be losing ground from a passing standpoint. I'd have to get his rushing stats.
He was injured though. Some of that
rushing stats consistent. 500, 372, and then 302. So, yeah, he can move the ball with his legs too. And beyond that, he opens things up for the running game, the other running backs. And I think that's good for Rhule. I mean, Rhule's had some mobile quarterbacks.
PJ Walker.
Yeah.
He had Charlie Brewer though at Baylor, right? Charlie Brewer was this guy at Baylor.
That's
mobile,
true.
But
not really. Mobile. But you can, if you stretch the field horizontally with the quarterback's legs, then you can open up running lanes on the opposite side of the ball and get that offense moving.
Yeah, no, I like that. Running back wise, you mentioned the return of Anthony Grant. Also, Gabe Ervin is a guy I know they're really high on. They also have Rahmir Johnson in that backfield. It's a pretty solid backfield. The question is, will the O-line be solid enough? Receiving core, we like what they did in the portal. Josh Fleek's coming in from Baylor. Billy Kemp coming in from Virginia. They already have Marcus Washington, who was previously at Texas 2 years ago. Zavier Betts is someone they're excited about, and they were able to talk back Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. So the wide receiving core looking pretty good. Also,
Trey Palmer exhaust his eligibility. Is that what happened there?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he's in the NFL.
71 catches. I mean, I guess you could say Anthony Grant had a somewhat impressive year rushing, 915 yards, but
he's not even penciling as the starter from what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Gabe Ervin penciling as the starter, but Grant as the backup, but maybe a 1-2 punch.
Interesting. The offense just was not impressive on any level last year.
Yeah. But I mean, the tight end positions, like I said, I see them starting Thomas Fidone, who's a sophomore. That'd be interesting because they brought in some of these guys from the portal. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. The O-line, center Ben Scott comes in from Arizona State. He's penciled as a day one starter. Besides that, they return Ethan Piper, a left guard that was a starter a year ago. They also bring in, they bring back Bryce Benhart and left tackle Turner Corcoran. So you could say if you add in Ben Scott being a starter, 4 or 5 starters back on the offensive line, Patty C. Should we be optimistic about the success Matt Rhule can have in year one?
I think that's being optimistic.
Okay. Well, the defensive side of the ball, which brand new DC, I do like this hire. Tony White coming over from Syracuse. They returned 8 on the defensive side of the ball. Now, a year ago, defense wasn't amazing. 76 in scoring defense, 108th in rush defense. Ouch. Defensive line, 67th in pass defense, 99th in total defense.
Tony White did have Syracuse with the number 21 overall defense.
No, I think it's a good defensive coordinator. It's going to be exciting to see if what he can do year one. They only have one guy returning on the defensive line, Patty C, and that's Ty Robinson. They brought in some transfers, but only one starter on the defensive line. The linebacking core does have 3 of 4 back that started. MJ Sherman, the Georgia transfer, is the one that they're counting on. I think John Bullock is back as well. Isaac Gifford as well. No relation to Frank. Secondary, everyone's back. I mean, well, no, everyone, they have all starters returning. That includes Corey Collier, a Florida transfer who started there. That includes, and the rest actually, Quentin Newsome, Malcolm Hartzog, Marquise Buford, all back. Kicker, punter, back. Patty C, is the defense going to be way better in 2023?
I think you can count on them having a vast improvement. Matt Rhule is going to be accounting for that to an extent. Tony White will account for that, and the amount of returning talent all suggests an improvement on the defensive side of the ball.
So, I mean, I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. Was that crazy, like 9 losses by a score or less? But you look back at last year, they lose that game to Northwestern in Dublin, 1-score game. They lose to Georgia Southern in Lincoln, 1-score game. They lose to Purdue in a 6-point game, 1-score game. Minnesota 1-score game, and Wisconsin 1-score game. So they really still continued this trend of losing 1-score games. Now that all their wins for the most part, I mean, North Dakota FCS double digits, Indiana double digits, but beating Rutgers by 1 in a game they probably should have lost. I remember watching that on a Friday night, and then Iowa by 7. Nice win.
That's incredible. In Iowa City.
Yeah, with an interim coach.
Hey,
unfucking believable.
Yeah. Who is that? Mickey
Joseph.
Joseph. Congrats on going out.
Yes.
Getting a win over Iowa.
He's going to have that forever. So we're going to go game by game on the schedule here and try to project how they'll do in year one of the Rhule era. But before we do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience, Nebraska Cornhuskers 2023 season previews, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, the NFL season is right around the corner, and Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on a ton of NFL player props and a ton, that are all available in a ton of markets. Plus, there's plenty of opportunities to win in their daily MLB contest, and of course, make sure you enter the Best Ball Mania, where first place gets $3 million. Head on over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Once again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Hopefully you're subscribed on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience, because this is the hub for all of our stuff. Go listen to us wherever podcasts are found. We'd appreciate that. 5-star review, all that good stuff. But also we host the FCS college football experience, the college basketball experience. Fred Hoiberg, I think, might be due for a big year in Lincoln when the basketball season tips will be here each and every single night of the season. And also the college baseball experience and the Big 12 experience, brand new podcast we have dropping. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience.
How do you think about the good folks in Lincoln feel about Creighton?
I think they're probably fans. I mean, I don't know. Some. I think they're probably split. Yeah. But Creighton needs to start.
We got you covered with Creighton.
Creighton needs to start their football program.
Yeah, they do.
What's going on? Or Omaha. What's going on?
Nebraska should have two football programs.
Yeah, you got every state's got to have a couple.
Yeah,
got to have a couple. But either way, I mean, look, if you're watching on YouTube, you see right now the graphic. Shout out to Cam Kerr. The win total is sitting at 6. Patty C, first reaction without looking at the schedule.
Under.
Yeah, just because year one in the history of Rhule. Is that what that's based on?
We're ranked about 100 in both offense and defense last year, so it's not even like they have an elite unit that they can take advantage of. I think it's a full rebuild. It's a system overhaul. So, and this is what Rhule does. And like you said, traditionally he struggles in year one as he implements the culture and the system. So yeah, I think you should expect this, Nebraska fans, and not be upset about it.
Well, let's get into it because week one. Well, first off, they open with back-to-back road games. They are at the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Patty C, we've done our Minnesota preview. Go listen to it. PJ Fleck rowing the boat. I think this is a sneaky game because Minnesota did lose a ton. I think Matt Rhule's capable of pulling the upset, but I took Minnesota to get it done. I don't feel amazing about it, but I just think Minnesota, if I had to, I would take, just because brand new, year, brand new offense, brand new defense. Minnesota's got a leg up there. So I got Nebraska 0-1, Minnesota 1-0, and you did too, right?
Yep.
So I'm curious. I don't remember what you did on the Colorado preview, but the very next game,
I got hyped up and took Colorado, although I don't know that I did.
Glad this game's on the schedule. Shout out to both Nebraska and Colorado for making this happen. I grew up, rooting for the Buffs, and I know Nebraska fans probably hate me, but look, I like Nebraska. Good. I like Nebraska good.
Yeah.
I want them good.
I mean, let's be honest. Part of the reason you like Colorado, they had great swag, but it's because it's in our DNA as true sports fans not to, jump on the winningest team's bandwagon. So you kind of always got to get, at least.
And my oldest brother was a Notre Dame fan. So seeing Colorado and Notre Dame play back-to-back national championships, I was like, I cannot root for my brother being happy, right? That's just normal.
So you
right?
get the gist.
And I was a 8-year-old or something. You know what I mean? So
it's in the blood early. Look, Colorado at number 63 in the national talent composite as of last year. Obviously, does that apply at all this year? No.
70 transfers.
But Nebraska's been pretty steady. I want to say they were 24th this year.
I took
23rd before that.
I took Colorado on the preview. Do I feel confident in that? Not at all.
Yeah.
But I think my logic was this: it's in Folsom. That was the only logic, and I think it was Sean Lewis. They're going to play incredibly fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska won by 21, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Colorado won by 21.
Yeah.
So true mystery game in college football this year.
I'll say this: there's one other tough game on their slate that we can find that between a road trip to Minnesota, Colorado, and I'll say this: Illinois on a Friday night, which is midway through the season. I think they'll get one win out of those three. So right now, though, I'll say it's Colorado. 1-1.
1-1. I got them 0-2. And then Northern Illinois comes to town. Patty C. You don't have to go back that far. Go back to September 16, 2017, when Northern Illinois went into Lincoln and won 21-17.
Hello.
Now they are
don't remind them.
Yeah, they're 1-3 all time, but and most of them have been blowouts, but they did bite them before. I'm giving this as a win to Matt Rhule.
Tommy Hammock, good 1 year, bad 1 year. We're not sure what to expect this year out of him, but I think he runs an okay program.
They got Rocky Lombardi, who's related to Vince Lombardi, so watch it. In
Lincoln, you got to give this one.
He's 37 years old. I'm taking Northern Illinois. This is the home opener for Matt Rhule.
There you go.
I think he gets his first win. You got him having a second.
Yep.
So 1-2, and then they get Louisiana Tech. I remember this game in 1998 when the season opened. I think it was week 0 when Troy Edwards had 7,000 yards, but Nebraska, but Nebraska still blew them out.
Yeah.
This is a win though. Sonny Cumbie, no, this is another win for Nebraska. 2-2, and then
I got them 3-1 out the gate.
3-1. And then the Michigan Wolverines and Jim Harbaugh come to town. First game for Harbaugh after that suspension, most likely. Now Michigan gets it done.
Here's the thing. Michigan, I don't think is a. Let me double check again. Let me get the exact numbers. Nebraska 24 on the national composite as of last year. Michigan number 13. So from a talent standpoint, and which probably relates to the trenches as well, Michigan may not be a ton more talented. Actually, Michigan's offensive line pretty damn talented.
I was about to say they might have the best offensive line in the country. Football. Yeah,
but Nebraska plenty talented. But whether he's instilled the physicality,
to me, the clear red flag on this team at Nebraska right now is the defensive line.
That's true.
Right?
They'll probably get run through. You have to take Michigan here.
So I got them 2-3. You got them 3-2.
Yep.
They got a Friday game against Brett Bielema, who just went out and got Jim Leonard. Interesting. I don't think Nebraska's going to win at Illinois. So I am taking Illinois Friday night. Yeah. This place will be packed. I got them now sitting there at 2-4. 2-4.
3-3 for Patty C.
They get a bye week though, and now they host Northwestern. I went to Lincoln to catch a Northwestern game just a couple years ago.
This next stretch of their season
is nice.
Makes or breaks their season.
They're winning. Northwestern, obviously, all this crazy shit happening there.
That's a W.
That's a win. That moves me to 3-4.
I got them 4-3.
Yeah, and then they're hosting for homecoming the Purdue Boilermakers. I do think this is kind of a 50-50 game because Purdue I thought was very good in the portal as well.
43-37 in West Lafayette last year.
This is a true 50-50 game.
Yeah,
it's a true 50-50 game. Let's give it to Nebraska.
Homecoming.
Give me it to Nebraska.
In Memorial Stadium. Yeah, there. I'm with you.
So that puts me at 4-4, right? Is that 8 games?
Yeah, that's 8 games. I got them 5-3.
Okay, now they're at Michigan State. We did the Michigan State preview. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game.
It's a coin flip,
but I took Michigan State.
I think they're due for another loss at this point. So 4-5 for you, 5-4 for me.
Yeah, and then they're home to Maryland. I do think this is a win.
Yeah,
I do think this is a win.
Yep.
So that goes to win 5 for me, win 6 for you. So the over under is on 6.
Yep.
They're at Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, Saturday, November 18th. That's just a loss to me.
It is, but that's such. I mean, what if you have 2 teams with supposedly similar talent levels, right? And both bring in completely new coaches that are overhauling the system entirely. What you can't base it off of like the previous. I think maybe you can to an extent, but I don't think Wisconsin's going to be way better than Nebraska. But it's in Madison, so I guess I got to go Badgers.
So that puts you still at 6-5.
Yep.
I'm at 5-6. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Wait, Maryland is my win. Michigan, Maryland, Purdue, Northwestern's 3, Louisiana Tech 4, Northern Illinois 5. Iowa comes to town. Man, this game still breaks my heart because I want Colorado, Nebraska. I also miss Nebraska playing Oklahoma.
Cornfield football.
It's still cool, but like it should be. Can we replace this with Colorado, please? This is interesting. They beat Iowa last year, but I'm kind of bullish on Iowa this year, man. I like what they did in the portal.
Look, I know you love Colorado, Nebraska. It was a great rivalry. Well,
it's just perfect for Black Friday.
Yeah, it was fun. There's a lot of intensity.
Mountains against flatland.
That's right. It's
Nebraska fans will tell you douchebags against good people.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You're definitely getting 2 different. I'm assuming voting bases, but more similar fan bases going at it in the what do they call this? The Corn Cup Bowl or something?
Cream Corn Bowl.
Cream Corn Bowl.
Talking out of my
Iowa and Nebraska. Iowa has gotten the better of Nebraska for the most part. Nebraska started out they got the first 4 when they came from the Big 12. Iowa has since mainly taken control, but obviously Nebraska got last year.
But I love what Iowa did in the portal with Arik All bringing in McNamara.
Yeah,
I mean, I think this is still a winnable game for Matt Rhule.
This is interesting. Now
I'll even say, give me an upset.
This is when this rivalry gets really fun because they are playing. Nebraska is finally playing Big Ten West football with the
with Matt Rhule.
Yeah, and Ferentz. We're gonna have a slugfest. I'm in.
Let's go for the upset.
I'm not. No, I'm going Iowa here.
Okay, so you're going 6-6. I'm going 6-6.
6-6.
Now, if I had to lean anyway, I got to lean under.
I'm leaning under
just because we gave them Purdue, we gave them Maryland. I even have them beating Iowa. Now, sure, could they beat Colorado? 100%. I have no idea in that game.
They could be 3-1 out the gates very, very easily, and then
they could beat Minnesota. It's a really interesting year here, but I feel like 6-6 is what they're gonna do. But obviously, that's the exact number Las Vegas set. We are not going to sit here and say the number. We have to say over or under. And I think, gun to my head, give me 5-7, and more likely than 7-5.
Yeah, I think you just have to look at Rhule's history at Temple, at Baylor. He's not a fast starter, but he accelerates really quickly in year 2, and then he's at a full sprint by year 3. So.
But I will say that the portal wasn't as prominent back then. Like you might be able to excel a little faster with the portal.
Is he the type of guy that can take advantage of it? I think he did okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I thought he did great in the portal. So, look, we're both on the under with the Cornhuskers after I was over on them like the past 5 years. Some of those didn't treat me very well.
Lesson learned.
Maybe that's really what's happening here. But look, before we get out of here, I got a chance to sit down with Michael Barker. And if you don't know who Michael Barker is, he's known on Twitter as College Football Campus Tour. This guy's been to every college football game. All right, like every stadium at least, and the FBS. I sarcastically say every game, but pretty much. If you follow his page, he's at like 7 games a week.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. I sat down with him about his experiences. And I've been to the stadium, Petty C. It's a great stadium.
Yeah.
It's a great town. It's right downtown. So
supposedly it becomes the biggest.
Nebraska is college football, man. That's why they got to get good again.
Yeah.
Becomes the second biggest city or the biggest. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's not the biggest city in the state. I think Omaha would be typically, but on game day, Lincoln is the biggest city in the state.
Let's go. Look, well, here's that interview. So with no further ado, joining me on the college football experience, Nebraska Cornhuskers 2023 season preview is none other than Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour. You might be wondering what is that on Twitter? He's at CFB Campus Tour, and let me tell you, folks, I think it's one of the best Twitter accounts you can follow in all the land, because Michael, not only does he go to like 5, 6, 7 college football games a week, I repeat, a week, he documents it all. It's not just like him, drunk at a stadium taking a photo. He documents it all, photo of the game, talks about the history of the place. He'll show you points of the stadium that are cool or historical or perhaps wacky. So, it's just a must follow. Even in the off season, does a lot of great work there. And Michael, I appreciate you hopping on the show to talk about Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. A lot of times I have to cut the tailgating short, or else I'll be that drunk guy in the crowd that you're talking about. So, but yeah, no, this is a big one, Memorial Stadium. Love to talk about this place.
Yes. I want you to tell me the history on, I've been to the stadium and I had even as someone that grew up hating Nebraska, they do college football right, in my opinion. I'm curious the history in your opinion, but talk to me about the history of Memorial Stadium.
Yeah. So this year it's its 100th anniversary, opened in 1923. It replaced Nebraska Field, which at the time they were getting people, hanging on telephone poles, sitting on roofs across the street just to look in there. So they handed Newt Rockne 2 of his only losses with the Four Horsemen in back-to-back years. So they outgrew Nebraska Field. They moved into Memorial Stadium, like I said, 1923. It had 31,000 seats and has grown. 85,000 is where it's at now. Record crowd, 2014, they played Miami. They got 91,585. They beat them 41-31. They call the crowd the Sea of Red because everybody dresses in red. 389 consecutive sellouts since 1962. Their record is 315-67 during that streak. So winning 80%, 85% of the games. And they have the all-time longest home winning streak in college football history, 47 games from 1991 to 1998.
Yeah, and for my money, in my lifetime, and I've been a big hardcore college football fan really since like the early 90s, man, that 95 team I'll put up against anybody because they were so dominant. And look, I like I said, I grew up hating them, but I couldn't help but love what they're about. They are college football. I've been to Memorial Stadium, and it was fantastic that I watched them blow out the Northwestern, something crazy in the Frost era, and just everything was great. It went downtown to the bars. It was just everything was perfect about that college football experience. Tell me about your experiences there.
So cool stat about that 95 team. They didn't get called for one holding penalty the entire year, even though they run the ball that much, which is amazing. So I've been there for one game, but also I went to the spring game when Scott Frost got hired and they sold it out. I don't know how many places, we just heard about Dion selling out a spring game, but Folsom Field doesn't have anywhere the capacity of Memorial Stadium. So that was impressive. 85,000 at a spring game. He walked on the field and they cheered him just for pointing and doing anything. So it was a cool scene. The one game I went to was in 2021. It was a great game, a night game against Michigan. It was 29-29 in the fourth quarter. Jake Moody kicked a 39-yard field goal for Michigan with $1:34 left, and they ended up winning 32-29. But that was one of the biggest battles Michigan had all year. That was when they were still releasing the red balloons there. Trev Alberts, the AD, stopped that after that. But it was just peak Memorial Stadium experience. Night game, not too cold, even though it was late in the season, and very competitive. I know they played some games against Ohio State and Wisconsin over the last few years that haven't been close, but this was as good of a recent experience you could get at Memorial Stadium as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I remember watching that game on TV. That was a great game. Yeah, I mean, this stadium, their fans are passionate. It seems like the whole town shuts down when there's a game, and they blew out Northwestern when I went. And then the bar scene, obviously, it was almost like it was in tune with the football experience because the fact they won. It just seemed like, everyone was in town happy about their Cornhuskers grabbing the dub. And I say that as someone that root for Colorado. Come on. So shout out to what do they call it? A Tom Osborne Field now too? Aren't they calling that? Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a statue of Tom Osborne with Brooks Bollinger, quarterback that was there with Tommy Frazier, died in a plane crash, but very instrumental during the time when Tommy Frazier had the blood clot in his leg and had a lot of responsibility for winning those national titles. There's a statue outside the stadium of Tom Osborne and Brooks Bollinger together going over, it looks like, trying to decide on what play to run. So very cool.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. And that is why college football is awesome. One of the reasons why. Michael, I appreciate you hopping on the show, man. And maybe I'll see you one day in the Sea of Red at Memorial Stadium there in Lincoln.
Yeah, this would be a good one. So hopefully we can make a trip out there sometime.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Take care, man, and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Memorial Stadium. I've been there, man. It is a great college football experience, Patty C.
I mean, yeah, during essentially our youth, early teens, Nebraska,
fucking dominant,
so nasty,
fucking dominant, man. And I say
3 national championships in 4 years.
I actually believe. I mean, I think 95 Colorado put the most players in the NFL at the time. Right? Or maybe it was 94 at the time. It's been broken by Ohio State and then Bama and then LSU
Miami or whatever,
and Georgia. But at the time, and that thing lasted for like 5 or 10 years before that got shattered. But I really believe that Colorado team was just so nasty, and Tommy Frazier ran through them like nothing. And I'm convinced that team with Tommy Frazier is the best college football team I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's
hard to argue with that.
I mean, in my lifetime, I'm not, obviously I wasn't there for the Oklahoma teams that were really good. And, some of the other teams
consider, 2 straight undefeated seasons, 25 straight wins for them. And then, they finished 11-2, an off year for Osborne, and then a 3rd straight undefeated season during that run. They were so dominant, or not a 3rd straight, but a 3rd in 4 years.
And my feelings on 1999
robbery.
They should have been playing for the national championship against Florida State in 1999, in my opinion.
12-1 and finished number 3.
And played, in my opinion, the Big 12 was by far the best conference in America that year.
Yeah.
So that would be like Georgia losing to Bama in the SEC championship and not getting
that seems like
because they beat Texas, the team they lost to, by 4, right in Austin. They beat them in the Big 12 championship by 16.
Yeah.
So I mean, this team was really good. So
yeah, that's one where we desperately needed a 14 playoff. And look, voter fatigue probably played a factor in them not getting the nod. I mean, Florida State was a good team, obviously, and Virginia Tech had a special year, but they were playing in the Big East. A much watered down conference.
Yeah, and the Big East was trash. And look, if you go back to 99, I know we're going on a tangent here, but like, look at these defeats by Nebraska. They go at Iowa week 1, win 42-7.
Yeah.
Right. 35-point win. Then they host the California Golden Bears, 45-0.
Yeah.
Right. Then they get Southern Miss, who was really good back then. They did squeak by Southern Miss 20-13. Right.
Yeah.
Then they go to Missouri, win 40-10, another 30-point win. Right.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State by 24, Iowa State by 35.
And it's not even so much that the blowout scores are that impressive, which they are. It's that the other team isn't scoring any points, so there's no chance.
Yeah. It gets worse too. Like they beat A&M, who was number 21 in the nation that year, 37-0.
Yeah.
Number 5 Kansas State, 41-15. Right.
Those K-State teams were awesome.
Yeah.
Too.
Tennessee in the bowl game, which I think had Peyton Manning. They won by double digits. Or actually, no, that wouldn't Peyton Manning. That would be T. Martin. But the only one that gave him the hard time was Southern Miss and Colorado, and then Texas beat them. But that league was nasty that year.
Had Solich only been given that opportunity, maybe he stays there much longer.
Of course, man. They got robbed. They were like, I will argue this forever. I know I'm in a studio right now with Virginia Tech football behind me.
Right.
I honestly believe they would beat Virginia Tech by 4. I would lay 14. Because Virginia Tech to me is more like Kansas State. Look what they did to Kansas State, 45-15.
That's a damn good comparison.
Yeah, 41-15.
Michael Bishop and Michael Vick weren't that dissimilar of football players, and probably Kansas State. I don't know. They were very similar at that point, Virginia Tech and Kansas State.
Yeah, and Nebraska was dominant. So, folks, I'm saying this. I mean, me saying it. Folks, I look. I think 6-6 is probably what's going to happen. But I'm on the under if I have to pick. Patty C's on the under. If
it's
you had to pick.
Long road back to those glory years,
Yeah.
but this might be step number 1.
Yeah, and look, folks, it's going to be exciting to watch because they're kind of one of these mystery teams too. I know we talked about Colorado and A&M and Mississippi State, Wisconsin, but that's not that crazy of a schedule. They get Michigan at home.
Yeah,
if they're ahead of schedule,
yeah, we're assuming they're pretty far behind schedule. If they're ahead of schedule,
well, especially with the portal, we've never seen Rhule with the portal having access like this.
Yeah.
So we could be wrong on this. I don't feel great about my pick. This will not be on the locks episode.
Sure. Yeah.
So folks, we're both on the under, but we're rooting for you to get back to the, honestly, like you think I'm doing shtick here. I want Nebraska to be 10-2 every year again, at least, right?
Let's go.
I want it back. I like their uniforms. I want them, but I want power football back. Can we bring the fucking option attack back?
Yeah. It's not Nebraska football unless you're slamming it down someone's throat.
All those Zach Weigert and all those big ass offensive linemen that they had for so many years. Let's get back to those days, folks. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Remember, like I said, that's our podcast can be the College Football Experience wherever podcasts can be found. We also host the FCS College Football Experience, College Basketball Experience, College Baseball Experience, and now the Big 12 Experience. Remember the Big 12, Nebraska? You should go back. Colorado's doing it. You should go back too.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. Also, we're on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Give us a follow. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. It's always fun. Get the SGPN app. It's free to download in the App Store, Google Play Store. You get access to our picks, our previews, our podcasts, our guests. We got Phil Steele coming on next week to talk college football. Maybe I'll ask him some questions about the Cornhuskers. Phil comes on every year. Great guy and always does great work with his magazine.
Stud.
What else, Patty C? Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. They're already doing their NFL previews. So check out that. They're going team by team, all 32 teams.
What
just like
Cornhuskers NFL fans. What do you think?
Vikings, maybe?
Vikings, yeah. That could be. Chiefs.
Yeah,
Broncos.
Bears, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Folks, subscribe. I mean, yeah. So they're going team by team on the NFL. We are doing all 133 teams like we do every year. Well, this is the first year with 133. It was 131 last year. Every single college football team in the land we do a podcast for. So check us out. All right, folks. Until next time, this is the College Football Experience. Nebraska Cornhusker style. GBR. They say GBR. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the gamblers. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know